What's going on, guys? It's Bucky, and I just want to make a real quick video to update you guys. Actually, this is probably going to be a pretty long video, but I want to make a video to update you guys on a couple things. I got some news for you guys, and a lot of you guys are probably going to be real upset at first, but just stick with me. It gets better, I promise. So the first thing is good news. My entire website is updated, so for everyone who is asking to put my videos in a playlist, if you go to my website, every video I have is now on there and in a playlist, nice and organized. So there you go. Check out my website. All the videos nice and organized. The next thing I want to talk to you guys about is sounds like it's going to be bad news at first, but trust me, it's not. I decided not to teach Blender and not to teach Ogre. And I know a lot of you guys are looking forward to game development, and you guys are probably, PO'd at me right now. But before you freak out, just listen to what I have to say. So first, let me say this. I've wanted to create computer games ever since I first sat behind a computer. It's the reason I started learning programming. It's the reason I went to college for computer programming. It's been my goal for a very long time to make awesome computer games and also teach you guys how to make awesome computer games as well. So that being said, here's the reason I decided not to teach Ogre 3D. Ogre 3D is a 3D graphics engine, and 3D is only one small aspect of game development. For example, whenever you make a 3D game, you need a lot of things other than just the 3D engine. A 3D engine basically helps you put 3D objects on the screen. That's it. In order to make a game, you need physics libraries, sound libraries. You need to code networking, artificial intelligence. There's so many more aspects to a game other than just programming 3D objects and stuff. So that is kind of why I'm not teaching Ogre. But aside from that, whenever you're going to get a job in the computer game or even, the programming industry, your Ogre skills aren't really going to get you in the door. It's a good graphics library, but if you want a job working for a major company, Ogre isn't really your best bet. So the huge companies kind of stay away from Ogre. It's awesome if you want to, make a game with your friends, or if you're working on a college project, then Ogre is the best. It's a pretty good choice. But if you're going to go jump into the industry and making professional applications, I wouldn't recommend Ogre. So you're saying, alright, that sucks. You're not going to teach Ogre. I guess my game development days are over. That's the reason I subscribe to you, Bucky. See you later. Well, let me tell you guys this before you start writing nasty comments on, I don't know, send me anthrax in the email. Anthrax in email, anthrax in my mail. But anyways, the solution to not teaching Ogre and not developing using this 3D graphics library is this. Instead of teaching you a 3D graphics library, I'm going to be teaching you a full-blown game engine. Now, a game engine... Actually, let me talk about this first. I know I talked to you a lot about a 3D engines and game engines. And you guys are like, what the heck even is an engine? I know what an engine is in my car, but you say engine a lot. Please tell me what an engine is, and I'll explain it. Way back when they first started making games, they made 3D games like Doom and Quake, like the very first 3D games ever. And whenever they were programming it, they kind of started writing the same code over and over. They're like, oh, alright, we need to write code for physics and collision detection and how the graphics appear on the screen. Now let's make another game. All the physics, all the collision detection, all the way your graphics appear on your screen. And for the same game, they were typing the same code over and over and over because, with every single game, the graphics are the same, how your computer works with sound is the same, collision detection is always the same. So instead of writing the same code over and over and over, and don't forget, the game was changing, but these little pieces of code were staying the same. Those pieces of code that always stayed the same, those code is what make up your engine. It's the core functionality behind every game, the kind of stuff that you don't need to create new every time. It's the basic core functionality that stays the same, and what happens is you have this main engine, and it allows the developer to concentrate on the cool stuff like the design, the character design, the main concept, all the fun stuff. So it gives you all that core functionality of how sound works on the computer, of how graphics display on the screen, and all that stuff, and now you get to concentrate on the character design and all the fun stuff like I said. So That's what an engine is. So you're saying, alright, instead of teaching me a graphics engine, what are you going to be teaching me? I'm going to be teaching you the best game engine on earth, and that's Unreal Engine. This is the engine that is used by huge companies to develop awesome games. And I know in the last video I told you guys about Ogre, and I showed you guys that game, and it looked pretty cool. But it was like kind of, not a great game. It was a pretty cool game, but I'm not talking like a huge game. Let me tell you guys some of the games that are made using Unreal Engine. Gears of War, let's see, Army of Two, BioShock, Borderlands. I'm talking huge, epic, some of the most amazing games ever built was built using Unreal Engine. So I figured, you know what, if we're going to learn to develop games, we're going to do it right, and we're going to use the right engine. So instead of, giving you guys the kiddie kind of college version, we're going to be jumping right into the pro level Unreal Engine to develop awesome and epic games. So no need, messing around with the small stuff. Let's go right for the professional stuff. That's my theory. And aside from that, Unreal Engine has everything you need. It has audio, animation, networking, level editors, artificial intelligence, everything you need to develop any game in the world. You have an Unreal Engine. So, that's a lot better just opposed to Ogre 3D. So, the last thing I want to mention about Unreal Engine is, like I said, with Ogre 3D, it's you might want to mention it whenever you're looking for a job, but it's not going to really get you in the door. If you go up to an industry like, a main gaming company that develops huge games and tell them you know Unreal Engine, they're going to be begging to hire you. It doesn't matter if you have a college degree or not. If you know Unreal Engine, you pretty much are guaranteed a job in the computer game industry, since this is the main program that huge companies use. Again, some other companies like Blizzard and stuff, they probably make their own engines, but this is like one of the main engines out there. So, enough about, Unreal Engine. Pretty much, it's amazing. It's the best game engine. It's going to guarantee you a job if you know it, and that's why I'm deciding Unreal Engine game engine rather than a small graphics engine. So, I'm done talking about Unreal Engine for now. Now let me explain to you guys why I decided not to teach Blender 3D. Now, before, I'm not crapping on Blender 3D here because it's an awesome 3D modeling program, but it's not the best out there. It's free, and, for being free, it's the best free one out there. But the reason I want to teach Blender 3D is because I want to allow all my subscribers to follow along with my tutorials. And if I taught, one of the expensive 3D modeling programs, then they wouldn't be able to follow along because when I was in high school and college, I was broke. And I know that a lot of you guys probably can't afford, a huge 3D $4,000 program. So that's why I was like, alright, even though it's not the best, I'm going to teach Blender 3D because all my subscribers are going to be able to follow along with it. So that being said, let me tell you guys what I'm doing. I decided instead of teaching Blender 3D to teach 3ds Max. Now 3ds Max is the best, no contest. If you had all the money in the world and you could only buy one 3D modeling program, you want to choose 3ds Max. Now, it's a $3,500 program, and before I made a couple tutorials about it, and I was like, you know what? Who's going to be able to afford this program? Probably none of the people that are watching my tutorials, so I kind of stopped making tutorials about it. But I'm going to start making tutorials on 3ds Max because it is the best program for computer game, character modeling. Anything you need for a computer game, you can create in 3ds Max. It's a whole lot better than Blender. I know a lot of you, hardcore Blender fans are probably going to disagree with me, but trust me, it's like, you know how Photoshop is the best photo editing program? And then, some people say GIMP is free, it's awesome. Well, that's kind of how this is. 3ds Max is the best. It's an industry standard when it comes to computer game development. And, Blender is a pretty good program, but, it's leaps and bounds below 3ds Max. So that being said, let me tell you guys what I found out yesterday. That's why I was going to teach Blender 3D because it's free and everyone could follow along even though it wasn't the best. But yesterday I found out that if you are a student in high school or college, you can go to the Autodesk web, and by the way, Autodesk is who makes 3ds Max. You can go to the Autodesk website, register, and all that means is you need to enter your email, tell them you're a student, and make an account, a password and stuff, and you could download all their software they have for free. I'm not talking a 30-day trial. I'm not talking some crappy toned down version of the software. I'm talking if you are a student, you can download the entire 3ds Max $3,500 program for free. And I was like, oh my god, why did I not know about this before? And it kind of makes sense why they're doing this, because they want students to learn 3ds Max, because then when they jump into the computer game development industry or 3D modeling industry, they're going to have those skills. And, the companies they work for, they're not students. They still have to buy the program. So it kind of makes sense why they're doing this, letting students learn on it and use it for free. And then when they jump into the workforce, they're going to have to buy their program. But for us, being students, it's all there at our fingertips for free. The best, most amazing 3D modeling program out there. And, this is kind of getting on my chest. I know a lot of you guys are going to say, well, Maya is the best 3D modeling program. Well, Maya is the best program for, movies and animations and logos. But for character design, 3ds Max is the best. Like I said, if I had $10 million and I could only buy one 3D modeling program, it would be 3ds Max. So this is not up for debate. That's what we're doing. So that's why I chose to use 3ds Max and Unreal Engine rather than Blender and Ogre. Like I said, guys, if we want to develop the best games, we need to have the best skills and use the best tools. So no need thinking around with this, little kind of cool computer game stuff. If we want to develop the best computer games ever made, and that's what I plan to teach you guys how to do, we're going to need the best programs out there. So that's what I'm going to be doing. So I hope you guys understand my decision. In the long run, it's going to be better for you guys. And by the way, like I said, just like Unreal Engine is the industry standard, that's what all the pros use. When you're looking for a job, if you know 3ds Max good, you're going to be able to get a job like that. It's what all the huge companies use. And, like I said, I'm going to stop rambling right now, but that's why I made my decision. I hope you guys understand. So, let me think if I have anything else to say. I think that's it. So, I hope you guys, are looking forward to this game development as much as I am, because I cannot wait. I'm probably going to start these tutorials in, I want to say 4 or 5 days is when you're going to see these tutorials start pumping out. I don't know if I'm going to be teaching 3ds Max. I really want to jump into an Unreal Engine because it's just so awesome and I love using it. But I don't know if I should teach 3ds Max because, you kind of need the 3D stuff before you can build a game. You can't build a game without the 3D objects, but you can build 3D objects without a game. So I might have to teach 3ds Max, but I really want to teach Unreal Engine, so I'm not sure what I'm going to be doing. But that is what I needed to tell you guys. That's my decision, and I hope you guys are excited for it and understand where I'm coming from. So thank you guys for watching, and don't forget, like I said at the beginning, my website is now updated, so all my tutorials are on there in a nice, neat playlist for you guys. So again, one last time, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys so much for subscribing and donating. You guys have no idea how much it means to me. So thank you, and I will see you in about a couple days when I start making tutorials.